Welcome back to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. Tonight, we return to Cold War Britain, a time of quiet tension, polite smiles, and secrets buried beneath grey seas. This is the story of Commander Lionel Buster Crabb, a decorated Royal Navy diver who slipped beneath the waters of Portsmouth Harbour in 1956 and never truly surfaced again. In April 1956, the Soviet cruiser Ordzhonikidze arrived in Britain on an official diplomatic visit. It carried Nikita Khrushchev and Nikolai Bulganin, high-ranking leaders of the Soviet Union. The visit was meant to symbolize easing tensions. Smiles were exchanged. Speeches were delivered. Cameras flashed along the docks. But beneath the surface of the harbour, suspicion ran far deeper. The British Admiralty had an interest in the cruiser, specifically its propulsion system. Rumours suggested the Soviets had developed advanced, unusually quiet propellers. In the era of submarine warfare that mattered, noise meant detection, silence meant dominance. Commander Lionel Buster Crabb was the man they turned to. Crabb was no ordinary diver. During the Second World War, he had become one of Britain's most experienced underwater bomb disposal experts. He had defused Italian limpet mines in Gibraltar and survived operations that would have broken lesser men. He was brave, methodical, and unafraid of working alone in black water. But by 1956, Crabb was 47 years old. Diving technology had evolved, but it was still dangerous. Visibility in Portsmouth Harbour was notoriously poor. Tidal currents were unpredictable. And this mission, if it was indeed authorized, would involve swimming beneath a Soviet warship during a diplomatic visit. Officially, no such mission existed. On the 19th of April 1956, Crabb disappeared. That morning, he reportedly entered the water near the dock where the Ordzhonikidze was moored. Accounts differ on who authorized the operation. Some suggest Mi-6, others claim elements of naval intelligence acted independently. What is certain is that Crabb went under and never returned. When he failed to resurface, concerns spread quickly. A diver disappearing during a covert Cold War operation was not the kind of event governments wished to publicize. The Soviets, however, noticed something. Soviet sailors reportedly observed a diver near their cruiser. One account suggests they saw bubbles rising suspiciously close to the hull. Another claims a sentry reported underwater movement. Whatever they saw, the Soviet delegation raised the issue diplomatically. The British government responded awkwardly. At first, officials claimed Commander Crabb had been testing equipment. Then they suggested he had gone missing during routine diving trials. Eventually, the Prime Minister, Sir Anthony Eden, addressed Parliament. His statement was brief and evasive. He said it would not be in the public interest to disclose the circumstances. That phrase, "not in the public interest," would hang over the case for decades. A year later, in 1957, a body was discovered in Chichester Harbour. It was headless and missing both hands. The torso was badly decomposed. Divers identified certain markings that suggested it might be Crabb. An inquest concluded that the remains were likely his. But doubts lingered. Without a head or hands, definitive identification was impossible. Some speculated that the body had been mutilated deliberately, either by marine life or by human intervention. The timing raised eyebrows. Why did the body appear so long after the disappearance? Why in that condition? Conspiracy theories multiplied. One theory suggested that Crabb had been detected by Soviet sailors and captured. Perhaps he had been interrogated aboard the cruiser, then executed. Another proposed that a Soviet diver confronted him underwater, leading to a struggle in the dark. There were even rumors that Crabb had defected, that he had been recruited by Soviet intelligence and staged his own disappearance. In the fevered atmosphere of the Cold War, such possibilities felt plausible to some. Yet there is no solid evidence of defection. No confirmed sighting. No document placing him alive beyond that April morning. What remains unsettling is the government's silence. Files relating to the incident were sealed for decades. Some remain classified. In 2006, when records were due to be released under the 30-year rule, the government extended the closure period to 2057. The official reasoning cited national security and international relations. Over a century after his disappearance, parts of the truth are still considered too sensitive to reveal. That alone fuels suspicion. Why protect details of a botched reconnaissance mission so long after the Cold War ended? What intelligence methods or diplomatic embarrassments lie buried in those papers? Crabb himself was a complicated figure. Accounts describe him as courageous but perhaps impulsive. Some colleagues questioned whether he was physically suited for such a risky dive at his age. The equipment of the era was heavy, air supplies limited. One malfunction, one unexpected current, and survival would have been unlikely. The simplest explanation is often the harshest. He drowned, disoriented beneath the cruiser's hull. Perhaps entangled in debris or struck by the ship's propellers, he may have succumbed to the dark water without ever encountering an enemy. Yet even that explanation leaves unease. Why did the Prime Minister deny authorization? Why did the Foreign Secretary express visible anger when the incident surfaced? And why were the Soviets so quick to complain about a diver if they had not known something unusual was happening beneath their vessel? The Cold War was fought not only with weapons, but with secrecy. Intelligence agencies operated in shadows, sometimes beyond the full knowledge of elected officials. It is possible that Crabb's mission was sanctioned informally, without written approval, giving the government plausible deniability if it failed. And it did fail. In the years that followed, Crabb became something of a ghost in British naval folklore, a man who slipped beneath history itself. His name surfaces occasionally in declassified documents, in memoirs, in footnotes about Cold War espionage, but the full account remains submerged. There is something deeply symbolic about the case. A diver descending into opaque water to inspect the hidden machinery of a rival power. A nation publicly shaking hands while privately probing for weaknesses. A body without a face washing ashore, leaving only questions. Even the official record feels incomplete, as though pages are missing. Perhaps they are. The extended sealing of files suggests that certain operational details, intelligence techniques, diplomatic agreements, or internal conflicts remain sensitive. It may not be the dramatic conspiracy some imagine. It could simply be embarrassment, a reckless mission during a diplomatic visit that risked international crisis. But embarrassment alone rarely demands a century of silence. Until those files open, speculation will persist. Was Crabb killed by Soviet forces? Did he fall victim to equipment failure? Was there a confrontation underwater that neither side wished to admit? Or did something go wrong that exposed vulnerabilities Britain preferred to keep hidden? The sea keeps its secrets well, especially in harbors crowded with warships and watchful eyes. On that April morning in 1956, Buster Crabb entered cold water on what was likely meant to be a brief reconnaissance dive. He never resurfaced into the light of certainty. Instead, he drifted into that peculiar category of history where fact and shadow intertwine. His disappearance reminds us that even in times of supposed diplomacy, unseen battles unfold beneath the surface. And sometimes, those who fight them vanish without explanation. Thank you for listening to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. If tonight's story lingered with you, if the thought of silent water beneath steel hulls unsettles your imagination, consider subscribing and joining us again. Until next time, sleep well. And remember, some truths remain classified long after the men who carried them are gone.